I'd like to talk a little bit about the benefits of doing yoga. Let's focus to begin with on the physical side of things. So maybe a lot of people come to yoga in the first place because they're struggling on the physical level, something which is not working or painful or restrictive or something. So initially you might think we're getting stretchier. So actually, yoga is not about really becoming stretchy or bendier specifically, but it's about increasing our range of movement back to what is comfortable or helpful for us to live our life. So increasing range of movement in our muscles, in our joints, in our tissues to something which is functional and helpful. It's about becoming stronger. So developing our integrity to the point where we can function better as humans in this world, lift heavy shopping, go up the stairs, crouch down, all that kind of stuff. And then we've got balance so that we can stand on one foot. And although in real life, maybe we don't stand on one foot very often, but the ability to be able to balance is really important, especially as we grow older, to maintain that balance, to be able to come down to the floor, get back up again. And then there are many, many others. Releasing physical tension, flexibility in the tissues throughout the whole body, not just the things that you can see. Allowing us to breathe in a more comfortable and more easy way. Regulating blood pressure, flushing out toxins in the body. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the benefits of the breathing aspect of yoga. Now, I could probably talk for hours and hours on this, and there's certainly reams of benefits of yogic breathing and learning about breathing in yoga. First of all, we learn to keep breathing, right? So I hear many times in classes people going, and then that basically means people are holding their breath, right? They're sort of grunting or forcing the breath somehow. And it usually means we've gone a bit too far in a posture, we're not able to keep the breath nice and soft and relaxed. So keep breathing is the first one. And then breathing through the nose, breathing continuous, rhythmic, soft breaths allows the body to stay relaxed. So we bring ourselves to somewhat stressful positions, sometimes holding things that are particularly difficult or doing some kind of sequence which is hard. And then we learn to keep the breath soft, and we learn to keep the body in this relaxed place. Now, before we start to introduce forceful breath, I'd say one of the most important things is to learn how to relax the breath. Most people who come to yoga have very little understanding, very little awareness of what's going on with their breath. So if we can keep the breath soft and unforced, totally natural to begin with, and learn to do that before we add any kind of forced breathing, then that really benefits the body. So some further benefits of the breathing in yoga. So we have 3 different main muscles that we use to breathe with. We have the intercostal muscles, which lifts and lowers the rib cage. Then we have the diaphragm, which moves up and down. And then we also have the abdominal muscles, which tend to, their function is to squeeze in. So we have this 3 parts of the breath. When we that's the abdominal, and when we go that's the intercostal, but when we're relaxed and at rest, that's our diaphragm moving up and down. Most people don't really have any idea of how to tune into those 3 different parts. So yoga teaches us very much about the different kinds of breath. So chest breathing is associated with feeling worried, feeling stressed. Typically, when we're trying to run away from an animal, like in our fight or flight response, we need all the breath we can get, so the chest gets involved, and so the body thinks that we're in a fight or flight response if we're using the chest, and then it can get stuck in a kind of pattern where we're breathing up in the chest, and the belly is tight and tense, and the diaphragm isn't working so well. So when we learn to relax the chest, to relax the belly, we end up breathing more diaphragmatically, and that tells the body, it gives us feedback loop, that things are okay. We're calm and relaxed. We can be soft and not have to be in our fight or flight response. So another significant area that yoga helps with and brings benefit to is our ability to be aware of our body. So body awareness. I remember when I first started practicing yoga, I was like one of those plastic toy robot models, basically completely numb to what was going on and how I felt. Maybe from here on upwards, I had a reasonable sense of what was going on, but from here downwards, it was like a foreign land. And I see some people come and start yoga looking a little bit like this, and I definitely feel where they're at and understand where they're coming from. So the practice of yoga asks us to become friends with our body, to make friends with our body. And the only way we can do that is by increasing our awareness and sensitivity. And sensitivity to what's going on in the body is something which develops gradually over time. And it takes care, it takes patience, and it takes kind of moving our body in lots of different ways and then being really aware of what the effect is. And that's really what all of yoga is, right? So we move in different postures, we move our limbs in different ways, and we find different methods of moving, and then we get more and more aware of like how my toe feels, or how my breath feels, or how my neck feels, or where the energy is moving in the body, and we become more and more sensitive. So this is a big area of benefit of yoga, awareness of our body. Let's talk about the benefits of yoga in terms of the nervous system. So one of the things that yoga does is help us to shift from the fight or flight stress mode, which is primarily dealt with by the sympathetic nervous system, into a more restful, into a more relaxed mode, which is typically our parasympathetic nervous system. So we shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic. We shift from a place of stress and worry and arousal into a place of much more relaxed, calm, quiet, and letting the body get on with what it needs to. There's another thing in yoga that's about teaching our nervous system to deal with new movements, with new sequences, with new ways of interacting and connecting with the body. So much of what we do is learning to sense the body, to tune in to different parts, to get more sensitive, and to know where our limits are, to know how we can move more smoothly, more efficiently, and with more range of movement, with more ease. And the other thing is teaching the nervous system that certain ranges of movement are actually okay. So sometimes we get into a kind of habit or stuck mode where the body thinks it's worried about going too far, and we gradually allow the body to know that this range of movement is okay. We're not going to injure ourselves. So continuing our theme of the benefits of yoga, one of the most important benefits of yoga practice is actually learning how to relax. And that's actually what most people need, more than flexibility or strength or conditioning or anything like that, is to learn how to relax, to be in a place of relaxation. Because life is busy, we end up with this kind of tension, being stretched in all sorts of different directions, and the body ends up getting more and more and more tense, right? So there's a big difference between muscle tone and muscle tension. Tone is like engagement, it's helpful for moving around, but tension is kind of chronic. It gets set in, it gets locked in the body. We end up with tension in the muscles and things like that. So yoga offers us the techniques, and offers the opportunity and the teaching to learn how to relax, this art of relaxation, because everything works better when we're relaxed, right? We have soft muscle tone, soft tissues, soft breath, and that leads to a more soft mind, soft awareness, and more able to be kind of like here and present rather than like tense and stuck. So we enter this education in how to relax, and then it gives us the opportunity to rest, which again is so much what we need when life is so busy, to rest. So one area of benefit that perhaps we don't think about so often in terms of yoga is the benefit of coming to understand what energy is. Now, from a purely physics point of view, from a scientific point of view, energy is like a collective term which includes things like chemical energy, electrical energy, potential energy, nuclear energy, that kind of thing, like a collective term. And exactly the same in yoga, in the Eastern arts, energy is used to refer to a collection of different kinds of energy. We might have the electrical energy moving in our nerves, we might have the blood flow, the nutrients, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe. But also there's a sense of mechanical energy, so stress and tension and torsion. And then there's a kind of more overall sense of like heat, coolness. Are we high in energy, low in energy? And then on the other side, the mind side, there's a kind of focus, concentration, calmness, direction of awareness and a broadening of awareness. That's all different kinds of energy that we start to become aware of and tune into, how the body starts to relate and become more connected and allows the energy to flow more freely through different pathways. So we talk about in our Zen yoga practice of energy moving in the meridians, a kind of pathways or areas of relationship and connection. And we become awake to that and we start to feel that in our yoga. So most yoga classes include a balanced posture somewhere, and there's a very good reason for that. There are many, many benefits to be found from practicing the art of balance. So on a more physical level, keeping balance, maintaining integrity and posture and control in the body, and it becomes particularly important as we get older and older. So lots of people lose the ability to balance, and particularly into old age, is one of the leading reasons why people end up falling over and ending up in hospital, and it can really shorten our life and reduce the quality of life in old age. So maintaining physical balance, the ability to stay balanced on one foot. They say our body is only as old as our ability to balance on one foot. And then on other levels, so balance could be taken to mean finding a balance between, relaxation and engagement. It could be a balance between the left and the right sides of the body. The right side, the yang, the masculine, the direct, the outward, the forceful. And then the left side, the yin, the more introspective, the quiet, the calm, that kind of thing. Finding balance day to day, finding balance week to week, finding balance within our life, finding the work-life balance, all sorts of ways we can practice the art of balance. And that all comes in and embodied in our balance postures. Now, as our practice deepens, then we encounter the area of yoga of discipline. So what's discipline? Discipline sounds all very strict and austere, but actually discipline is extremely helpful. Discipline is what gets us onto our mat. It gets us going to our classes every week. It gets us practicing at home, and it gets us doing our yoga come what may. We notice the days where we don't want to do it. We notice the days where we absolutely love doing it, but we do it anyway. And that discipline, that putting in the hours, that encountering ourselves on a regular basis come what may, leads us to some very interesting places. In Sanskrit, the word would be sadhana. Sadhana means discipline, or a kind of like commitment to practice, doing something on a regular basis. In Japanese, the word is shugyo. Shugyo is often associated with calligraphy practice, like doing Japanese calligraphy, but we can also use it in the yoga sense. So I offer a Zen yoga shugyo course, which is a 1-year practice course for deepening your yoga. You learn some sequences and you kind of doing them on as homework. Now, shugyo also has this other connotation, not just discipline, but it's also the wisdom that we learn when we put in that discipline, when we put in that effort, that enthusiasm, that training. So when we encounter ourselves on a regular basis, come what may, we see the cycles and rhythms of nature, we learn a lot about ourselves.